Huntley Power Station, or the world-famous chugless potato chip factory in Idaho, if you've seen the Minecraft movie. The Hollywood version of this Kiwi icon was set to be its legacy. Huntley's a Gen X project, conceived by the boomers, that was looking a bit too old school. Thermal generation, burning stuff to make electricity, not as cool and green as those millennial wind farms and Gen Z solar panels. But we are here because Huntley is back, baby. Suddenly vital once more if we want to keep the lights on all the time.
And the reality is that somebody has to pay for that.
Malcolm Johns would say that as the relatively new boss of Genesis Energy, he has to decide how long to keep this place going.
When I came to the job, the number one question I was being asked was, how are you going to close Huntley down? And now the number one question I'm being asked is, how will you keep Huntley running? And not only how will you keep it running, but as we add more renewable energy into the system, how will you secure the system? How will you make Huntley bigger?
We'll come back to that. Right now we're driving up a dusty ridge that looks like a moonscape. We're on an exclusive Access All Areas tour here at Huntley, thanks to BusinessDesk energy correspondent Ian Llewellyn and his industry contacts.
Well, it's a fact. We have an energy shortage. Something's not gone right.
Take the hill we're filming from now, the one they're preparing to add to here, and the one they're piling up over there and dampening down. This is the side of the Huntley Power Station that most people don't get to see because you've got to stand on top of a pile of hundreds of thousands of tonnes of coal. Coal from Indonesia that supplied 12% of New Zealand's electricity last year, they tell us. It's the heart of what makes it possible to provide energy from this place no matter what the weather. So even on a bright sunny day, when the wind's not blowing, they're burning coal.
Huntley is the perfect example of what's happened in the last 2 or 3 years and how things quickly changed. 3 years ago, talking to the people who run Genesis, they were working out how to close down Huntley. They even talked about peak coal, and then suddenly things changed last year and it was, oh my God, we've got no coal and we've got no gas, and we've got to get Huntley, we've got to find fuel for Huntley.
They had no coal?
They were down to a day's supply, apparently. That's
when the gas-tastrophe reached its peak. Gas is what they burn in the large jet engine style combined cycle generator here. More efficient with lower emissions, but running out much faster than expected.
We have ageing gas fields. And the world is littered with examples of ageing gas fields that suddenly decline faster than you're forecasting them to decline. And that's what happened last year. The physical reality is we have roughly half the gas now that we had a few years ago.
That's despite the gas industry as a whole investing $1.5 billion on new drilling under existing permits from 2019 to 2023 to find nothing much and produce less than expected.
Nobody foresaw the sudden and rapid decline of gas across so many fields. If everybody had seen that, we would have adapted to it much sooner.
Cold comfort for industries that are now getting very bad news.
Energy is how we do our business.
We're small, we run very, very lean.
The lack of certainty is the problem.
Glucina Alloys is the last foundry in the country still turning scrap aluminium into new metal.
We supply like New Zealand steel. We supply all the stuff that goes into infrastructure, like all the aluminium chambers. We supply Australia now a lot.
It used to be for a lot of car parts. They still do some for the Nissan Leaf range.
Converting solid metal into molten metal requires huge amounts of energy. Without stability in that going forward, and it's a major part of our cost.
Electricity keeps that fan cooling the guy pouring. The furnace is on piped gas.
About 2 or 3 months ago, I was given a call from our supplier. It became a bit of a shock as that conversation continued when they suggested that it was unlikely that we could get another contract at the end of our current contract. And so maybe we would needed to start to look at other energy options.
Switching to industrial quantities of electricity won't be easy here, and that's a whole other story, explaining why reconnecting via lines company Vector will cost more than $500,000 before a single volt can flow.
At the end of the day, we need to know that we got the energy delivered at the right price beyond the fact that it's going to be there for us.
We're basically asking our largest energy users to stop production. That's not really the sign of a healthy economy.
Much bigger players than the foundry have folded completely, while some with long-term deals were paid to shut up shop temporarily.
Methanex, our largest gas user, basically closed its operations and gave its gas to the electricity people. This year, instead of waiting to the last moment, they went in early and took off Methanex's gas, and that kept them going, kept the lakes high.
And yet the day we're at Huntly, they're still burning coal and venting steam. Wind levels are low nationwide, but winter heaters are cranking in homes, so that intermittent, renewable electricity supply needs firming, as they say. That screen in the control room shows a live feed from inside a huge boiler, where a massive fireball spins faster, hotter, higher, as the operators inject coal dust, or anything else they can burn, into its heart. All the while they track demand from the grid and messages from Genesis energy traders. While in the turbine hall, Huntly has 2 of its 3 very loud Rankine generators. Inside each is basically a trio of steam engines running flat out.
I've got no idea if you can even hear me at the moment. It's that rowdy in here. So this is what we've come to see at Huntly. One of 3 units that run reliably on coal dust or gas or wood. It's that guarantee that gives whoever operates the system a lot of market power too.
Is too much power in too few hands?
It's largely the same players playing the same game that has been for the last 30 years. The only sort of similarities you can say in New Zealand we've got to that are banking and supermarkets. Hard to find another industry in the world where over a sort of 30-year period hardly anybody's entered an industry with any success.
Mark Ratcliffe ran Chorus for 10 years as it split from telecom to roll fibre across the country.
What happened was you created 2 separate companies and the share prices of both things went up considerably, and shareholders got a fantastic return from it. All of the gentailers have managed to enter the telecommunications marketplace because they get access to the same products and services that everybody else gets access to, and they can become a retailer of telecommunication services. So I think that's what's odd. You'd have thought that if the retail electricity companies thinks that bundling up electricity with telecommunications is a good idea, that the telecommunications companies would be doing the same thing with electricity, but with the exception of 2 degrees, I don't think anybody's tried to do it. And that looks like there must be something a bit odd if, like, big sophisticated companies like One and Spark haven't entered the electricity market when there's clearly a customer desire for bundled products.
It's really important that we step up the level of investment in the sector.
Independent retailers like Octopus are keen to grow market share, which can really only come at the expense of the 4 big vertically integrated generator retailers.
So I think that the focus needs to be on getting the competition settings right, and then as those price signals exist in the market, then entrant players can come in and build their generation and have more counterparties to contract to than the gentailers alone. And that's going to be the key to getting out of the current predicament where we really don't have enough energy to meet the needs of New Zealand.
We have 500,000 customers across New Zealand, and last winter we supplied electricity to them 365 days of the year, 24/7, and none of them were exposed to the high wholesale prices. So Genesis is able to look after its own risk position in the market very comfortably. Now, the wider market wasn't able to look after its own supply risk position, and that's why prices went to $800 a megawatt. And so the reality is, who pays for that system risk?
Which brings us back to the coal. 600,000 or 700,000 tonnes, nearly 100 trucks a day bringing more. With gas supplies running out, this coal pile has gone from becoming a problem to part of the solution, except that Genesis doesn't want to pay for it to be here in case, and so it's turned to other market participants to charge them in advance to keep a supply of energy handy when it's needed.
Look, ultimately, one of the Rankine units has to go into retirement in February next year. It's out of survey. It needs many tens of millions of dollars spent on it to extend its life to 2035. We're simply not going to do that without a contract from others to back that.
Genesis has already signed non-binding terms with, guess who? Yep, the other big three players. Malcolm John says it's not a cartel, it's a tradable contract called a Huntly firming option. And if we don't like that, there's another option.
We're really comfortable whether Huntly shrinks to what we need it to be for our portfolio and our customers for the next 25 years, or whether it plays a wider role in the system. Ultimately, that's up to the market participants and the regulators.
We haven't had power blackouts in this country for decades. We've sort of got used to it. And people are not very forgiving if the lights go out. They're not very forgiving if the power bill's going up either, but so that's where the pressure's coming.
And that pressure's all coming to a head in the next couple of months as the government tries to decide whether it's going to have a go at making a change. You must have lost count of how many times you've heard that.
I think we've counted 10 market reviews, all of varying degrees, different shades of government. They've all called for it, and there's only ever marginal change because when you get down to it, someone's got to decide, would the benefits outweigh the risks is what I'm going to do next. If you change the rules and you get it wrong and you cause price increases and blackouts, so yeah, there's a lot at stake.